Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chow, jewelry Gemmologist and Appraiser. And today I'm the moderator of this discussion section. And then we have invited three guests, VIP guest speakers here for discussion. The first one, Miss Anna Hu. Yeah. Yeah, the first one.
Hi,
yeah, so
again.
the most renowned jewelry designer. So now, today, this morning, she has already, is it morning? Yeah. Yesterday, last night, already have a seminar, very wonderful seminars. And then the other two guests just have very wonderful seminars. And then let me do a little brief introduction of these two guests, right? And three guests. Mr. François Gouten, he has 35 years of experience in the business of luxurious branding market goods, and then together with important and well-established network of major players in the worldwide luxurious market. And then he worked many years in Hong Kong. So he looks like a Chinese, right? And then he carries a very special relationship to Asian with understanding of this complex luxurious market. And then since 1970, he developed Cartier as part of the team as former market manager, Cartier International, and then as former CEO of Cartier Asia, as former GM of Cartier France, right? To name only a little. And he was a former CEO of PAJ International, and the former CEO of Richmond Asian Pacific till 2006. He was the Hong Kong Watch Importance Association, the chairman of Hong Kong Watch Importance Association 2004 to 2006. He established the first Richmond subsidiary China. So after retired from Richmond Asian Pacific in 2006, he has established Gouten Consulting with functions in helping luxury brand in marketing and strategic development in Asian Pacific, or luxury real estate development in positioning their developing in Great China. Vice versa, he is also advising Chinese companies in strategies and images. Our second guest, Mr. François, is it that right? François. François Curiel. I can never pronounce that right.
As long as you don't say Françoise, which is a girl's name, everything else is perfect.
Okay. All right. I better not mention that again. He is born in France, and then became jewelry specialist in Christie, London, since 1969. Is it that right? Wow, that's very early.
Right, when Anna wasn't born.
In 1977, he launched jewelry department in New York after Madrid, Paris, and Geneva. In 1989, he returned to Europe as managing director and head of jewelry worldwide. In 1996, he was awarded the prestigious Emerald Diamond Career Award by the HRD Belgium. Is that right? Yeah, that's marvelous. In 1998, he was appointed the League of Honor GIA USA. There's Sunhei there, right? Is it? Yeah, I want to ask Sunhei to be the guest again, but next time. In 2001, Christie France was added to his leadership. In 2009, he received Officer of the Legion of Honor, France's most prestigious distinction. In 2010, he was appointed the president of Christie Asia till now, right? So the last guest, the most important guest, Miss Anna, who now needless to say, he's a worldwide renowned jewelry designer. Okay, I have a brief introducing to her career. She founded her brand name shop in New York. So it's not easy to go into New York market. And she's graduated from Columbia University and GIA, Parsons School of Design, and New York Fashion Institute of Technology. And she was the first group, she exhibited the first global exhibition and Louvre's the Arts Decorative Paris in 2012. Released her first book also. What year is that? The book?
Summer. Also this summer.
This summer. Yeah, I have seen that book. It's really a very marvelous book. The name of that book is Symphony of Jewels. And she was honored by China Institute's Artistic Vision Award in 2011. And then her designs has been recognized by various celebrities, magazines, and royal families. So I have introduced these three guests. Before we have started our discussion session, and then I have to raise some key questions first, okay? Who will be the first one to answer? You decide. Oh, I decide. Mr. Gouten, I just want to ask you questions. We could foresee the increasing income and demand of jewelry from the emerging niche, say post-80s in China. The question is, what is the new jewelry trend in China foreseeing the coming new generations?
Okay, it's a good question. Very difficult to answer. The new jewelry trend, it means, first of all, if it's trends in terms of style, you have to ask the creative people. I don't know what she will produce tomorrow.
I'll ask her later. Yeah.
Now, the most important thing is what happened in China in the past 10 years. It's a fantastic open market, and we saw, as I said previously, a very big development of Hong Kongese there. I don't think the local market is still ready to take place. It is very important because it is attracting the consumer to buy jewelry. Every time we saw a market starting with the mass jewelry, with a big number of point of sales, it's always a good benefit for the rest of the industry. I remember 30 years ago in Europe, we saw for the first time in some department store or food store, after the cash register, there was a famous group in France, they opened a carousel of jewelry. They were producing jewelry in Thailand. They were selling jewelry probably 30 to 40% cheaper than the street, than the local market, the real local market. And many people were scared. But at the end of the day, it was a very good point because it brought the people to buy more jewelry. And when you start to buy a small one day you will buy a bigger one. So this is what is happening for the time being in China. The trend, the market is open. Not yet. We have a lot of room on the market, but people will learn how to buy and to recognize quality product, creative product. We are not yet there, but this is a good starter.
So it's something that needs to take stages, right?
Yes.
So do you think it's at the beginning or at the middle or just going to be forest? I mean, that can be the very, very big markets coming.
It's already a big market in terms of gold consumptions, but China is a very... You mean China, huh? Your question?
No.
No. So what is your question? Can you repeat the question?
I mean that, what do you expect? How many years later China will take a very great place?
The time. If you don't go to China for 3 months, when you go back, you see the changes. China is...
Okay.
China is always going very, very fast, reacting very fast.
Okay, next question I will ask Mr. Curiel. Is there a niche you feel Hong Kong manufacturers should exploit to develop their sales? And if so, should it be at the high, middle, or low-end market? How should they go about that?
Well, I touched on it a little bit on my presentation. To me, there is room to be taken at the moment by jewelers who would specialize and who would manufacture high jewelry of the highest quality. So this is what is missing in the business. As I said, there are less and less qualified workshops in Europe and America. So I think that's a niche market which Asian jewelers should concentrate on, using great stones and manufacturing very, very fine quality jewelry. Now, there is also a market for mass jewelry, as Mr. Gouten just said, in China, but since we can't do it all, and to risk of repeating myself, I think if Hong Kong jewelry manufacturing could rhyme with high quality, it's a win-win situation, and it wouldn't take so long before you saw the buyers from the major auction houses, jewelry houses, not auction, but jewelry houses in Europe and America, who would come to Hong Kong and give work to the Hong Kong jewelers.
Well, yeah, one more question. Do you think watershed or Anna Hu syndrome can be popular in Greater China?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no question that the market at the moment is hungry, is in need of new names, of new designers, I know Wallace is an example, Anna is another, but there are a few other, Edmund Chinov, etc. In 10 years, I made a great success. Carnet jewelry is become well known all around the world. And look, Wallace's success in Paris 3 weeks ago speaks for itself. You could not have opened one magazine in Europe, in Paris 2 or 3 weeks ago, without seeing an article on Wallace. The French newspaper Le Figaro, which doesn't write about jewelry normally, one full page about Wallace Chan. So the market needs new. Look, when we go to a restaurant, don't we like to find new dishes? Don't we like new hotels, new places to discover? Well, the market is in need of new jewelers, but of new jewelers of quality who come like Anna or like Wallace. You like, you don't like, but at least it's different. And what I like about pieces by Anna or by Wallace or by any of the others I mentioned before is that you pick them up in a tray and you immediately know it is them. Whereby many firms today manufacture jewelry and you don't know who it's signed by. You have to turn and say, oh, it is signed by X or Y, because it is not typical of their style. Yeah. So we need new jewelers, we need new designers, and Asia is so popular at the moment and so chic and so well, if you want, it's so needed for jewelers from the region and for Asian jewelers to enter this market so that we have more than 4 or 5, the 4 or 5 I showed you on the screen, but maybe 10 or 15 by the time we come back to the next meeting in a year's time.
Wow, so that means we have to collect their product, right? Their designs, right?
It means that the artists...
I will ask Anna then.
It means that the artists have to create. Because we can promote and do the marketing and everything, but someone has to create and come up with new ideas and new design.
Yeah, thank you. And will I ask you a question? When we see our designers' masterpiece auctioned in Christie's or Sotheby's, we usually
Christie's.
Oh, Christie's. Yeah, sorry. Okay, later on. We usually associate her or his recognized status as a design master or design star, all right, as you are. Would you let us know more about how you would build this relationship with this international auction house? And then the second question is, what are the preference of this international house of the designs they are looking for in terms of rare, expensive gems, innovative design style, like you have used Chinese painting as design theme, innovative craftsmanship in setting, or untraditional ways of aesthetic or an artistic value. Yeah, you just give a brief idea about how to design these good jewelry pieces.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, fine. Actually, I started my route back to my first internship, which was at Christie's, New York, right after I got my degree from FIT. I think I was back then 21 years old.
Yeah.
And I had this opportunity to learn the antique and the vintage craftsmanship of Cartier houses, Van Cleef, Boucheron, among all the amazing French jeweler. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it took me exactly 10 years to mature my knowledge in both artistic and technical aspect. So after Christie's, it's really from Parsons and then Harry Winston and Van Cleef that I have this opportunity to learn how to create a piece, just like what François said, from selecting stone to the design to the production. And luckily, I was fortunate, as I mentioned earlier, that I started to play with diamond around the time I played with teddy bears or whatever. Actually, I don't play with toys. Diamond was my toys. So it's in my blood. And that's the other reason, coincidentally, a lot of Asian and Chinese articles, they call me this really rather cheesy, but I found it amusing, diamond princess or something, because it is in my life. It's, other than the time I play cello, all I can remember is the the bling bling diamonds. So when I started my own brand 5 years ago, what I have learned, my privilege is that I have opportunity to work with 3 different locations of workshop in Paris, in New York, and recently with very few Hong Kong manufacturers. And again, to respond to your prediction of high standard jewelry making in Hong Kong, from a creative perspective, I learned each craftsman, artisan, or jeweler have different skill. For example, the workshop that I work in New York, one of them make all the platinum crown jewelry for Harry Winston. They like more heavy metal, more bulky look, and very simple straight. For them, have 3-dimensional or organic line is like a crime. They just don't like it. But for certain market, like in America, it's necessary. So I will work with them on certain projects. And then I have the other beloved workshop. They are all French trained, at least 20 years each artisan from Paris. And they make beautiful jewelry for Van Cleef, for Cartier. And they happen to make all my amazing diamond rings with incredible, like most micro detail that I can ever imagine. So the chemistry is really wonderful. And then I have a workshop in Paris that will take all the impossible challenges I give to them. And they, on the one side, said that I'm driving them crazy. And the others, I can feel they loved it. So why not? We just kind of push each other for extreme challenge. So I would say my biggest satisfaction after leaving Harry Winston is I feel like a free bird, like a free butterfly. I can do whatever I want. I'm the decision maker. Wow. And I decide the style, I decide the stone, and I happen to be obsessed with the gem quality. I happen to use, almost only cashmere, future flower ruby, and no oil emerald, or superb翡翠. Yeah, so for the gemstone to the craftsmanship, I always every day look for the new perfection that I challenge myself to achieve.
Thank you. That is a very long time and then very successful. Next question, Mr. Gouten. Would you mind give us some opinion about what is the new jewelry trend in China foreseeing the coming new generation? Oh, sorry, this question already asked, right? And what influence of that trend will set into global jewelry industry in the coming 10 years? Will you give some opinion? And then,
yes. No, I will talk again about China. I think it is quite important.
Oh yeah, right. Always China.
No, but China is leading the world, so no problem. China learned from all the rest of the world, and now is doing better than the rest of the world, or soon will do better than the rest of the world. I think that anyway, in my business today, I see more people who want to come to China than people from China who want to go to the Western world. So China is the leader market for the time being. And what I will say, it's a little bit the summary of what has been said by François. We will see more and more creative people. I always, when people ask me, how do you see a new brand, a new Chinese brand going to the rest of the world? I said always, before Chinese brand, we will see Chinese creative people. We'll see Chinese creative people in art, in fashion, in jewelry. So there is a lot of talents. And the more we will have big brands entering on the market, the more you will have a search for some consumer for the niche brands. It is what happened today. If you take, I can give you an example, the famous brand Louis Vuitton. Already the rich people in China, they don't want Louis Vuitton. They leave it for the rest of the people. They want some special products. We will have exactly the same thing in China. It is already existing in Europe, in the Western world. People, as François said, they go in India or they go in a mountain to find something the other one cannot find because they discover the new things. And the more the market in China will be mature, the more will be a room for individual people.
Thank you. Yeah, that's quite clear now. Now everything is connecting to China now. So, Mr. Curiel, I have one question asking about, you mentioned about provenance in your seminar, and then do you think you can quantify this provenance in the value of jewelry? How many percent that would be carried in that value?
The simple answer is no. We can't. And what we do, if you look at auction catalogs, when we mention the provenance of an item, we count it for zero. We value the stone for the value of the stone, the value of the jewel. We add 10 or 15 or 20% for the signature. And we let the market decide what the provenance factor should be.
All right.
Other than that, that stone, that 76 carat stone here, which we sold for $280,000 per carat, we valued it at $200,000 a carat, which was the price for a D-flawless of 76 carat, and we let the market decide. More than this, I'm not so sure that anyone coming into the sale room that night knew how much he or she was going to pay, because it's an impossible question to answer. So the market decides every time I've run statistics. They mean absolutely nothing. Sometimes it's 200%, sometimes it's 20%. So it's what happens that evening in the mind of 2 or 3 people who wish to buy.
So it's difficult to answer that question. That
it's
means,
impossible.
The more price they pay, that means they are paying for the provenance, the more, right?
Well, the highest the price is based compared to the, if you want, the basic price of what a stone would bring in the market without the provenance.
All right. That's all right. Thank you very much. All right. That my key question is have done. Then any question from our audience? Thank you.
Christie from Jewellery News Asia. Thanks so much for your sharing today, which is very fruitful. I'd like to know, of course, in the recent 1-2 weeks, we see very encouraging sales in some of the auctions in the region. And in this year, some of the reports saying that the economic growth is a bit worrying and people are a bit uncertain about the economic situation in the next year. What do you think are the insights from the recent auctions and from the demand for high-end jewelry? What's your comments, or what are the insights? What are the impacts of the recent auctions results?
We had an auction a week ago here in Hong Kong. It took in $75 million, and the percentage sold per lot, which is a key indicator for us, it was 85%, which means that 85% of the lot we brought were sold. Anything above 70, 72 is a successful auction. Below 70 means that there is something with the market, something wrong with the market. We were very happy with the results, and the issue is not so much, the issue there is an issue of sourcing. Had we had more great stone like the Museau emeralds, more 20-carat D flawless, more Anahu jewels or jar jewels, we would have sold well also. And what I see at the moment, in this world of uncertainty, where the financial instruments are not so reliable, and it's very difficult for anyone to make any money on anything, jewelry seems to be a refuge, and whether it's for clients from China, Russia, this region, all around the world, there is a rush on good jewelry pieces at the moment. So sales were strong as long as we had quality items, thus my quality leitmotif, which you've heard this word from me this afternoon several times, as long as they were quality item, priced right. Had we estimated the Museau emerald, which brought 100,000 a carat, had we estimated them before the auction 150,000 a carat, they would not have sold. I think had we even estimated them 100,000 a carat, the price they made, they would not have sold. Because they were conservatively estimated 60 to 80,000 a carat, they brought 100. So pricing and quality.
Thank you. Any other question?
Okay, excuse me. The Hong Kong Jewelry Manufacturing Associations organized this Jewelry Development Summit and inviting such an important guest to come over. Of course, we are not only listening to what niche we have. We want to have a more modern way to tell us what can we do. Of course, like Anna Hui, Wallace Chan is kind of elite of our jewelers, and we certainly we cannot have enough quantity to accommodate our over 400 members. So I would like to ask a question is, it's not possible for all our members to be entered to the niche market, high-end, high-quality, well-renowned jeweler, designer. But we want to how to make ourselves, how to build our own brand. I mean, not a corporate brand like Chow Tai Fook and Zhou Sheng Sheng. We are talking about a product brand. So that Zhou Tai Fook, Zhou Sheng Sheng, or any other jeweler chain store in China can adopt our product. So can you give us some guidelines, what kind of element, what kind of ingredients, how we should make a product brand that can adopt to the market? Please.
Yeah, Mr.
Normally, I charge for that.
Well, I think we have organized this. I think you come over here already. You admitted to do something for us free.
He's the expert.
No, as I said during my short speech, it could be an idea to create a brand, Hong Kong brand. If you all agree together to bring some products, if you agree to work together in the same, to eat at the same table, and then promote the name of this brand with the name of Hong Kong, organize exhibitions, websites, do a lot of communication. Today, in a world where we are living, if you are not global, if you don't have a strong communication, if you don't use internet correctly, you cannot be successful. But we are talking a lot about China. I think as a Hong Kong brand or Hong Kong representative of quality product, you should organize exhibition in Paris, in New York, in London. You know, 30 years ago, there was a strong campaign in Europe for Singapore Airlines. The government spent a lot of money to explain that Singapore was the Switzerland of Asia. It was the most beautiful country in the world. Still today, when you talk to a Western person, they think that Singapore is fantastic. Nobody from Singapore here, I hope, because for me, I cannot stay more than 2 days in Singapore. But the image, the communication is very important. And yes, you need to receive the people here, but you need to export yourself. And you have to create all the tools and all the means of communication to be successful abroad. And even if it's only each of you bring few products, it will benefit to the entire Hong Kong industry. This is my free of charge advice.
Free of charge. Thank you. There's a question from Sanhei. Yeah, please.
Hi, my name is Sanhei. I work for GIA, but this is nothing to do with GIA, just my personal question. Now, this is my to improve Hong Kong jewelry, because I've been working in the USA for many years, and I went to all the jewelry shows and things like that. Just want to tell you, the Hong Kong manufacturers, people were impressed when the jewelry were made in Hong Kong. But now I know that you all have manufacturing done in China, so that's why they have a different thinking, okay, toward the Hong Kong manufacturers. That's one point. But the other one is, I'd like to ask sort of like a request to François.
François? All right.
Okay.
I'm here.
Hi. I know that Christie's have auctions on Asian arts only, like Asian paintings and separate, only for the Asian arts separately, right?
Yes.
And then for the jewelry and all these Asian jewelers, they have very short history. Their jewelries are not like more than 100 years old or anything like that. So they have such a short history. And it's sort of like, it's not really fair for them to compete with all the other famous houses, brand names, with the Boucheron and, over 100 years pieces from Tiffany's and Van Cleef and things like that. So, is there any way for the if you can have an auction for Asian jewelers, Asian jewelry only auction, so that I know the American market is not great now, but is there any possibility?
Everything's possible, but I'm not sure it's such a good idea. It's a little bit like when there is a new trend now, parity, women, men, and they should be in every board meetings now, and every board there should be half women, half men. I think it should be 80% women if the women in that industry, the more capable people are women because they've trained for that industry. But why discriminate against Chinese jewelers or Asian jewelers? I think when Cindy Chow brings nearly $1 million in an auction with Van Cleef & Arpels, Boucheron, and all the others, and Cartier, it says it all. I think it's just jewelers, quality jewel, and I don't think why we should separate them for others. I'm not even sure it would be, marketingly speaking, so good to do an auction of just Asian jewelers.
This is one way to introduce their names, brand names, to the outside market.
But they are already.
Right.
You can see that.
But there are a lot of other jewelers that not introduced yet.
Well, you know, we don't take from jewelers directly. We take from clients who come to us because they want to sell, because they get the rules, the criteria which trigger an auction. It's a bit sad, but it's the rule of the 3 Ds: debt, divorce, death. So these are normally the moments in life which makes you go to an auction house and sell your jewelry. There is also a fourth one called discretion now. You know, when you see that cashmere sapphire brings $200,000 a carat, and you thought it was only worth 15 or 20, you say, well, you know, at 220,000 a carat, I was willing to have it. At 200,000 a carat, it's too expensive for me. If something happens to it, I can't afford the insurance, so I will sell it. But so, you know, if we get more clients who bring us jewels made by Asian or Chinese jewelers, we will sell them, of course. But at the moment, because it's new, it hasn't gone through the complete cycle of a life of a person, if you want, and this is why we don't see too many. But whenever we see them, you could see that they sell for very high prices.
And thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, there's one question.
Mr. Gouten, I have one question for you. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Winston from Chow. Okay. You mentioned about charging.
I hope I didn't do any mistake.
Okay, I have a business proposition for you as well as all of us here. You are a person with very good connections in the jewelry world, even though you are not a jeweler. May I propose, you know, take these opportunities, line up people's designers from all over the world, and work with us in Hong Kong as a global platform for manufacturing, distribution. I think, you know, we have been working with Italian jewelers like Stephen Hafner, you know, they are great designers, but because of the financial crisis in 2008, a lot of this company, good designers, has turned belly up. I think this is a new chance for a global working platform. Would you like to participate in this and also charge us in respect?
Oh yeah, so issue your bill.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Oh,
I made my day. I made my day. Thank you.
Yeah, right.
I buy the tea for everybody.
You prepare name card?
No, I think it's a good idea, but it's my answer will be a part of my previous answer. If you want to marry your daughter, she needs to be either beautiful or you must have a lot of money, or both. But it's important for the bride to be beautiful. And I think you or we need to build up a little bit the backbone of the Hong Kong place. Do, as I said, exhibition. We need to go abroad and to talk to these people. We cannot just give them a call, say, hey, why you don't come to Hong Kong? We need to shine a little bit to attract them. You know, I like to compare with some joke, and there is one story which is a true story. During the reign of the King Louis XV in France, they brought from America the potatoes, which is today the national vegetable in France. And they tried to give it to the peasant to feed the population, and they said, no, it's a root, we will never take it. So they got an idea. They planted a field of potatoes near the castle of Versailles with the army around it. And for sure, they told the army, you close your eyes. And people were coming at night, stealing the potatoes. And today, this is a national dish in France. So you need to tease the people a little bit. This is very important.
Thank you. Yeah.
But I think when there's a will, there's a way. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I have one question for Anna. Would you consider open a shop in China anywhere?
I have one already in Shanghai.
Where? Shanghai. Oh, okay,
yes.
good. So it's really going to have many, right? Yeah.
I will decide. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. One more question for Mr. Curiel. Yeah, I just want to ask you, since the Sotheby's has just launched their branch in China, right? Sotheby's auction house. So would you think Christie will do the same pretty soon? And then also there is great competition from Poly, from Guardian or Han Hai. Do you think that would be a very keen competition there?
In answer to your first question, we've been selling in China since 2005. We have a licensing agreement with an auction house called Forever, and we've been selling regularly twice a year there. So our competitors followed suit, and they did an agreement with another Chinese company. So far, they've had one auction with one lot, and they are announcing an auction at the Freeport in 2014, which is, I mean, it's a very interesting concept, the Freeport, but in a way it doesn't change the issue of custom duty, because if you buy something in a Freeport in Beijing, to bring it to your home, you have to pay the import duty. So I'm not sure how this will work very well, but we'll see. It's 2014. And the second question was about the competition. Yes, it's quite interesting to know that whereby the two big auction houses are dreaming to go and sell in China. At the moment we cannot because it's forbidden by law, so we sell in Hong Kong. And we are dying, maybe not, but dreaming to go and sell in China, while the two lead Chinese auction houses come to Hong Kong. And the reason why they come to Hong Kong, from what I've heard, is because of the legal system, because of the easiness with which one can do business, and because you can bring works of art from all over the world to Hong Kong to be sold without paying import duty, which you cannot do in China. So it's competition, but it's good competition, because thanks to that, many new Chinese clients, collectors, who do not necessarily deal with Christie's or the other auction house, because they feel maybe I should need to speak English to go there, which is not the case, by the way. 80% of our colleagues are Chinese in Hong Kong, and of course in 100% in China. But they feel more comfortable with Chinese auction houses. But when they come to Hong Kong for an auction, they hear that there is this other house with a funny English name selling there, and say, well, let's go and see what's happening there. And what we've noticed last week in this same building is that we received many new clients who had come invited by Poly and who came to our auctions and bought or simply got acquainted with us. So it's great competition, but it's good competition. It also highlights the importance of Hong Kong in the world of auction. The challenge is one which you probably hadn't thought of, but it's not so much the goods, because there is enough works of art for everybody, but it is the staff. Because what the Chinese auction houses are doing, if they go after our number 3s and number 4 and our assistants and our administrators who have been trained at Christie's for 3 or 4 years, who speak very good English, who understand the system, and when they make $10,000 or $15,000 at Christie's, suddenly they're offered $60,000 at the Chinese auction house, who find ready-made employees. And the big challenge at the moment is keeping our colleagues and making sure they don't go and work for our competitors. So that's a challenge we are facing at the moment. But the rest, it's all plus and a good situation.
Yeah, I understand, right. One more question. Thank you.
Mr. Gouten, I promise you I have a question for you.
Promise.
Yes, François and Mr. Gouten mentioned about manufacturing quality jewelry in Hong Kong. And I've just heard Anna making jewelry from New York and also workshop from Paris or France. I'm just wondering, Mr. Gouten, when will all the French brands will accept, I mean, like brands like Cartier, Van Cleef will accept jewelry made in Hong Kong?
Well, great question.
Yes, I'm no more French, you know, I've been here for so long. It's a good question, but difficult to answer. I think it's a little bit too early, probably, because they sell exclusively their origin and their DNA. If you analyze today the word of luxury, and I don't like the word luxury because it means too many things today. If you take the luxury garments or the luxury accessories, they could be produced in China, or they are quite often produced in China, but people are buying the label. the name. There is also a kind of hard and soft luxury. When you buy and you pay for an expensive cosmetic or perfume or bottle of champagne, it's luxury, but when it's finished, you throw away the box. My watch, the price will not decrease. There will not be a winter season, a summer season. So I think for watch and jewelry made in France for European names, for French names, it's a little bit too early to come to Hong Kong. But there is a lot of jewelers on the Western world today, because if you know today, you name Cartier, Van Cleef, or there is what, 10 brands, not too many brands, but there is hundreds of people who are producing outside of France for the time being, or of Europe. For quite a certain time, many people were going to Bangkok, but the quality is not so good. And I think there is a room for Hong Kong. And after a certain time, maybe one day, if I'm still alive, Cartier will come.
I think, just would like to add something to what Francis Gouten just said. It's right, it's not for tomorrow, but I have a feeling that if you were to manufacture tomorrow an exceptional quality piece, and you'd come to Van Cleef, Cartier, Boucheron, one of the French big houses, and show them this piece, and say, I can sell it to you for $25,000, whereby to make in Paris it costs $100,000, even in France, money talks. So as long as it is of the same quality, and there is no reason why the Hong Kong jewelers cannot make, it's the same men, when everything is finished, the same hands, there is no reason why they cannot produce jewels of as great quality as the French workers, but they can do it for a third or a fourth of the price, because there is no VAT, because the social charges are so much more expensive in France. I don't think that the head buyer of Cartier or Boucheron or Van Cleef would resist too long if it's 120, which is probably what it is at the moment, or 125. Of course, if it's 95 and 100, but it won't do. But if it's a great difference of price and fabulous workmanship, I don't think there is a problem, and it would go even faster. It will happen faster than Francis just suggested.
But Benedict, you have to build up your school for craftsmanship first.
With your help, for sure.
So we go tomorrow. Huh?
Okay.
Thank you. Any more questions? If there's none, then thank you very much for this afternoon discussion session. Thank you.
Thank you.